Good evening, everyone, and it's fantastic to see so many of you here tonight. Fellow directors, distinguished guests, staff, supporters, friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you all for being here for tonight's research showcase. Before we begin, and on behalf of all present today, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal and the Bidjigal people as the traditional custodians of the unceded land that we work on at the Institute. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and recognise their cultural and spiritual relationships with the land, water and sea. It is our privilege to learn from their rich contributions to society and science as we work together towards finding a cure for all children with cancer. So we're here tonight to reflect on and celebrate our successes, the highlights of which you've just seen, some of, and there's another video coming now, which for your support was so critical in helping us to achieve. The importance of your support actually can't be overstated. It is so critical to our ability to conduct world-class science and to the continuing impact that we are able to have on children with cancer and their families, so many of whom are here with us tonight. We also look to the future with great excitement as we take you through the journey to our new home, the Minderoo Children's Comprehensive Cancer Centre, a state-of-the-art environment with the capacity to house more than 900 dedicated cancer researchers, scientists, clinicians, allied healthcare workers, working side by side for the first time with the single goal of improving outcomes for children with cancer. I was just talking to Jack Cassis earlier this evening, actually, who was the founding father of Children's Cancer Institute, and we talked about building the first building, which was going to accommodate 15 scientists focusing on children's cancer research. That was mind-blowing at the time. The fact that we're now 350, the Kids Cancer Centre, over 200, when we move in, we'll be over 550, and there will be the room to recruit the brightest and best in the world. I would like to extend tonight a special welcome. I hope they're here, Bruce and Marianne Mansfield. Bruce, are you here? I can't see you. I know you're meant to be coming from Minderoo, and also the team from Tour de Cure, to thank you for your extraordinary support of this groundbreaking initiative. At Children's Cancer Institute, and you may have heard me say this a number of times, we believe that a life should be long, that every child deserves a chance to grow up and grow old. And it is quite shocking to think that today, more children still die from cancer in this country than from any other disease. In fact, about 3 children per week. This year marks 40 years since our first labs opened, and I'm proud to say that we really have made some truly significant progress in that time. But there is so much more to do. More than 1,000 Australians under the age of 20 are diagnosed with cancer every year, which equates to about 20 families hearing this news every week. And depending largely on their diagnosis, too many of these young Australians will face the distinct possibility of dying from their disease. Because for all the progress we and others around the world have made over the years, some of these cancers in children still have abysmal cure rates. In fact, some are still uniformly fatal. And the fact remains that those who survive are more than likely to face, in some cases, very serious long-term effects as the result of the actual treatments used to save their lives. These major issues, low survival for some types of cancers, high rates of health problems in survivors, drive what we do at the Institute. Our motivation is to see children diagnosed with cancer not just surviving, but going on to live long, healthy lives. And we want to know that our research is making a difference for these children and their families. We want to have a real, tangible impact. And although we focus on the entire spectrum from basic biology through to clinical translation, It's the science that is not only early discovery research, but research that can be translated to the clinic where it can directly benefit kids with cancer. So to ensure that our research is truly translational, we work closely with our clinical colleagues at the Kids Cancer Centre at Sydney Children's Hospital, Randwick. And in fact, we've been doing that for the last 40 years since we first started. So at this point, I'd just like to welcome, not up to the stage yet, but to welcome here my very close colleague, Dr. Richard Mitchell, who is Director of the Kids Cancer Centre, who you'll hear from shortly. Our research at Children's Cancer Institute is informed by what happens in the clinic. And what happens in the clinic is informed by our research. And we know from our experience and from experience around the world that it's this collaborative and iterative approach that leads to the best outcomes for kids with cancer. Perhaps the clearest example of this is the Zero Childhood Cancer Program, which you've heard a little about, but I'll just speak to in a little more detail now, which is an absolutely joint initiative between Children's Cancer Institute and the Kids Cancer Centre. Zero came about as a result of the recognition that every child's cancer is unique, and therefore we need to tailor treatments to individuals, not just a one-size-fits-all approach. This personalised approach, which doctors and scientists now more commonly call precision medicine, centres on using highly sophisticated genetic analysis to inform each child's treatment. In practice, this means analysing samples from every child's tumour in our laboratories to understand what is driving their cancer at a molecular genetic level, and then using those results to provide that child's oncologist with a personalised treatment recommendation, where the recommended drugs are matched to the specific genetic changes that we found are driving that child's cancer's aggressive growth. So that's exactly what we're doing with Zero, and a little later you're going to be hearing from two of our team, Paulette Barahona and Dr. Loretta Lau, of just how this collaboration between research and the clinic happens in real time. And just for those of you who aren't familiar with Zero, it involves all 9 of Australia's children's hospitals, as well as more than 20 national and international research partners. And it's been operating at a national level since 2017. Originally, Zero was only open to children with the highest risk cancers, those with less than 30% chance of survival. And even in this cohort of patients who were pretty much destined to die, we have achieved through Zero some remarkable results. Just recently, the results from nearly 400 children with high-risk cancer enrolled on Zero have become available, and those results, we're very proud, are going to be published very shortly in one of the top 3 medical journals in the world. Excitingly, these results show that the 2-year survival rates of children who received their personalised recommended treatments through Zero, those survival rates are significantly higher than those of children who were treated with standard treatments or treatments that were not guided by Zero. Put simply, there's a growing cohort of children who are alive today who would have died without Zero. And at the end of last year, as you heard me say, Zero expanded to become available to all Australians, all young Australians diagnosed with cancer, not just those with the high-risk cancer anymore. And this is the first time in any country in the world that every child diagnosed with cancer will have access to precision medicine. So we and you should all be extremely proud of that achievement. We will now be doing genomic analysis on several hundred children's cancer samples each year. They all come to Children's Cancer Institute, no matter where in the country these children are diagnosed. And aside from potentially benefiting those children individually who are enrolled on Zero, the analysis of this massive data that we're collecting will generate vast amounts of information about childhood cancer, which we will be sharing with scientists and clinicians all around the world. So the impact of Zero will not just be limited to the here and now, but will ultimately benefit all children with cancer in the future. Now, it's this success of Zero that has paved the way, lit the beacon for what we can do when we work in partnership to this new and very exciting opportunity, Australia's first Children's Comprehensive Cancer Centre. And to share more about what this will mean, I'm now delighted to hand over to my colleague, Dr. Richard Mitchell.